Golden Backchannels: How Eritrean and Tigrayan forces profit from cross-border smuggling. Imagine two armies on either side of a frontier that was supposed to be defined by treaties and trenches, turning the border into a market and a war into a profit center. This is the new trade in the Horn: gold that should finance reconstruction or remain in national coffers instead of sluicing through the boots of soldiers, enriching officers, undercutting Addis Ababa, and laundering the horrors of conflict into gleaming ingots. Hello and welcome. I am Samia Mohammed and this is Analytica Today. On August 22, 2025, investigative reporting exposed a striking and illegal phenomenon. Eritrean military officers stationed along the border with Tigray are diverting gold into Tigray rather than surrendering it to Asmara's administration, and Tigrayan counterparts are facilitating reception and onward sale. What began as local opportunism has hardened into a reverse trade run by uniformed personnel and shadow networks that link artisanal pits to market centers, normalizing the monetization of conflict and diverting scarce resources from recovery and governance. Soldiers as smugglers, multiple on-the-ground sources describe arrangements that are transactional and institutionalized. Officers provide protection, grant cross permission, run informal way station, and take direct shares of metal or immediate cash. Rather than surrendering fines to higher echelons, those the ground prefer clandestine sales that pay now and avoid bureaucratic supervision. This is no scattered graft, but an organized pattern in which military privilege converts extractive potential into private enrichments. Towns such as Shire and nearby market centers have re-emerged as hubs where bullion is pulled, refined, and then marketed through local networks, scenes that expose how armed authority has been repurposed into extractive business that strips communities of resources and hope. Roads, hubs, and the laundering chain, the logistical pathways are blunt and efficient. Ore and refined gold cross through points such as Adiabo and Badme, traverse the Marab River, enter collection centers, and are then consolidated for onward transit through neighboring territories to Gulf trading hubs. Investigation map a funnel from pit to market that ends in ports and interports, where metal can be melted, recast, and stripped of provenance. The erasure is the laundering step. Once recast, illicit bullion blends into global supplies and becomes effectively indistinguishable from legitimately sourced metal. Such documented routes highlight how local predation is wired into international commodity chains, making it easier for conflicts, gold to reach buyers who may not ask hard questions. Scale, revenue, loss, and local devastation. The scale of the theft is not anecdotal. Regional authorities and task forces report the seizure of hundreds of illegal mining machines and estimate revenue losses running into billions of birr, money that would otherwise fund schools, clinics, and roads for populations battered by conflict. Independent watchdogs have documented episodes of coordinated looting and industrial extraction by networks linked to military actors during and after active hostilities. Equipment, refined, metal, and other values have been removed in quantities that point to organized operation rather than opportunistic theft. The immediate impact is fiscal deprivation, while the long-term consequence is weakened social contract and slow reconstruction that entrenches insecurity and hunger. Who benefits and at what cost? The beneficiaries are clear. Commanders with control of crossing points, intermediaries who connect frontline actors to regional traders, and international buyers who accept opaque provenance in exchange for lower prices. Checkpoints and permissions become instruments of rent extraction. Armed power becomes a tradable commodity. When state coercion is monetized, incentives for accountability evaporate. The political cost is severe. Where armed institutions profit from predation, they have little reason to support demobilization, reconstruction, or restoration of civilian oversight. Instead, they are incentivized to preserve the very instability that funds them. The social cost is worse. Communities stripped of assets and prospects, seeing scarce resources flow into private pockets rather than public goods. Regional and international consequences: illicit gold does not stop at frontier. Money laundering networks, human trafficking rings, and shadow financiers convert local plunder into cross-border capital that sustains criminal ecosystems. Landlocked sources routinely exist through neighboring littoral states and reach trading hubs where compliance is uneven. Until those compliance gaps close, demand in distant markets will continue to underwrite supply. The practical result is feedback loop. Conflict creates extraction opportunities, extraction funds actors who resist peace, and peace becomes harder to achieve. That loop has direct implication for regional stability, for the integrity of global supply chains, and for any international program that seeks to channel resources into legitimate recovery rather than predation. This is illegal and it's immoral and indefensible. The golden back channels are not incidental. They are organized, deliberate, and coercive to Ethiopia's sovereignty, to regional stability, and to any genuine project of reconstruction. The international community must see this for what it is, the monetization of war, and must stop treating these flaws as technical irritants and start treating them as crimes. Targeted sanctions on buyers and intermediaries, mandatory chain of custody rules for trading hubs, forensic audits of cross-border movements financed by donors, assets, freezes for identified traffickers, and technical support for local enforcement to seize and repatriate stolen assets are immediate practical measures that can break the laundering chain. Corporations, refiners, and banks must enforce strict provenance checks. Media and legal prosecution should accompany these measures to break impunity and expose the networks that convert human suffering into profit. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.